Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and co-hosting with me tonight, I have Kathy Medeiros and Bill Hannon, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to our guest, Ken Freschi. I met him at a wonderful conference that Roland Comtois had, and he said, "Would you like a book?" And I've read most of the book, and I can't wait to read the end, and I can't wait to read the next book. He's a mechanic by trade who's been inspired to write spiritual messages. Tell me where it all started.
Well, it started, I could go back to the ancient history with my children when they were born, but they brought us on a path of seeking out naturopathic doctors. And when you get into naturopathic doctors, you get into, acupuncturists, energy workers, and things like that. Well, my wife, we got good results with that, and my wife became interested in becoming a Reiki practitioner. So I went to one of her first classes as I call it the experimental rat. I was laying on the table, and she's doing whatever she's doing, and I wasn't into this stuff yet. I had no idea what it was all about. And the teacher running the class asked if I wanted to be open up to receive messages. And I'm saying, yeah, okay, whatever, do what you got to do, and that was that. And then fast forward another couple of years, I started receiving very vivid messages, vivid sentences that would wake me up, and I would just be compelled to write. And I would write, and when I started thinking about what I was writing, I would stop, and then I would read these messages, and it's like, this is coming from somewhere else, something else. And I'd have visions, and I have visions of friends of mine had asked me if I could get this, that, or the other thing, and a woman we knew was an energy worker. She had me go to her house, and I came up with relatives that I never knew of hers that had passed, and things like that. So that's where it started, and it's been going nonstop since. Yeah,
because a lot of your entries were written down at set times, and they've evolved.
Well, I set up the book with the dates, basically to help me figure out what was going on in my life at the time. Because most of these messages, although, they resonate with a lot of people, they're for me. There's things I have to master, and by all means, I haven't mastered what's in here yet. I'm still working on it.
They're the questions we all have, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here?
What's the point of this life? Is it just a simple thing? You're born, you live, you die? There's a lot more to life than what we see in our physical existence.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Kathy.
So I was just wondering, though, do you do a lot of the mediumship too outside of the books, or is this mostly just the
I don't
writing?
consider myself a medium. I do Akashic record reading now. I do spiritual counseling, but I basically just receive these messages. If that's a form of mediumship, then so be it. But I'm not a medium where I'm going to sit with you and bring in your relatives that have passed and they have this message for you and things like that, although at times that has occurred.
That happens.
This isn't something I sought. This came to me, and I really think when you stop seeking something like a purpose, it's going to present itself to you. And I was not looking to write books.
But yet here you are,
Here we are.
Right. Well, it's interesting. You mentioned that you were in the Reiki class, and part of the attunement process is opening the chakras.
But I wasn't the one learning Reiki.
That's right. But what was happening is, as they were practicing on opening your crown chakra and your third eye and your speaking chakra, your throat chakra, that's part of the attunement process that they were practicing.
Yeah.
And somebody got the idea, somebody got the message, ask them if you want to receive messages.
Right.
That was opening the crown chakra, so the information will come down into you and manifest through you. so you could express it.
Right.
It's very interesting how things like this
it's funny,
just
'cause after
happen.
that, a friend of ours, this woman, Effie, who does energy work, she wanted me going to her house to meditate. And so I said, what I do, but, so I go there and I sit there, and meditation for me is quite difficult. I mean, I don't meditate to get these messages. They
Right.
just come. I'm walking,
Right.
I'm cutting the grass, I'm doing whatever
Sure.
I'm doing, they just come. But in her presence, I started getting these visions of people. I got visions of a goddaughter of hers that had passed away, a godson that had passed away. I got visions of her father and people I didn't even know. So, I mean, once you're open to it, I mean, I think that channel remains open.
Now, when you do Akashic records, do you hear messages or see them?
What I do, it's almost like my tool to open my mind is writing. So if someone asks me a question while they're in their Akashic records, I just start writing, and whatever comes out, comes out. It's like a tarot card reader uses a card. It's a tool. Okay, but that just keeps my mind open, because if I was to sit there like not doing anything, you're going to start, you're panicking because nothing's coming through, or your mind starts getting in the way. So I occupy my mind with writing, and then it's
It's interesting
what comes out in the writing.
It's interesting also watching you go through. You start to write with your left hand.
Yeah, I'm left-handed.
Yeah,
I can't even wave the Bible with my right hand.
Yeah. So that's good. And it's just interesting that the right hemisphere of the brain has to do with not so much structural trains of thought, but actually conceptual trains of thought, and that's why it's interesting that you seem to be balanced on that side of the hemisphere predominantly more than the other side. And this is a lot of people that are gifted along this way are left-handed.
But it also works with people who are mechanically gifted, because figuring out how things work. For instance, I remember tests where they would show these figures all opened up like a box or other things, and you had to circle what it was going to look like all put together. And only a small percentage of people can do that.
I see.
And the same is true with mechanical things, figuring out how they work without instructions.
Well, that's the big thing.
Was one of the points he
That
made.
might be a little ego, but I pride myself in not reading instructions.
Yeah,
My
same
thing
here.
is, if you have to read instructions, you're doing something you shouldn't be doing in the first place. But that's not entirely true.
I know.
But that's the way I look at it.
But, the proof's in the pudding, how many pieces you have left over when you finish the project.
Exactly. But I was told, I had a message, and I think it's in the first book, where they said that, you pride yourself in not needing instructions, but we have now given you instruction on how to live your life. And not necessarily what to do, but how life works. And that was the thing that intrigued me most about mechanics, be it a machine, a tractor, a car, whatever. I don't care what it does. I was more interested in how it works. And now I'm getting clarification of how this life works. What's this all about?
Now, talk about these books a little bit, though. Is this the first one, though, that you wrote?
This is the first book.
Okay. Now, how long did it take you to start writing that one, to put everything together?
I wrote the book in a matter of months. The messages came over the course of a number of months.
Oh, okay. So you had the
years. And
information already.
right now I have a year and a half, 2 years worth of messages piled up for a third book.
Sounds like Roland.
Maybe. Roland is the one, he was the guy who first saw these messages. I brought them to him because I thought, what's going on? Where's this stuff coming from? I said, Roland, what do you think of this stuff? And he looked at it, he was moved. And he usually makes me cry like a 2-year-old when he does this thing, you know what I mean? I'm like, he said, you got to do something with these. You got to put them in a special place. You got to get a special book, write them out. Because I had them on scrap pieces of paper, napkins. I had stuff. And I still have all the originals, but I put them into the computer and just turned it into a book.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people in my life that pushed me with the book. He started it. Effie Rice, the one who did the Reiki, she really, I think, opened me up even more to this stuff. And then I'm a practitioner at the Healing and Harmony Center in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and the woman who owns it, Priscilla Bankston. I mean, I went in for a free healing night under duress. My wife wanted to go up there, and she picked up right away that I had written books. She's going to help me with them, and she's the one who really gave me the kick in the shorts to get out there and go to fairs and get my name out there. And
So Spirit was definitely pushing you to do this.
They were lining
Yeah.
up the people to push me to do it. You know,
Yeah.
we couldn't avoid it.
Yeah, well,
You know,
not,
and then I ran into you.
we
and it's
can't
like,
we can't all do it ourselves. I recently got a message that, because I don't charge people for some of the stuff I do, and Spirit says I should, that I need a manager.
well,
And
the charging
these other
aspect
people
to do what you
became
do,
managers.
I mean, you feel it's a gift of yours, and you don't want to charge because you're just sharing the gift. But there's an energetic exchange there.
Yeah,
and
I
somebody puts,
understand.
if they pay for it, they put value on what you did.
Yeah,
If not, they minimize what you've done for them.
yeah.
But you're going to be. We are guided to our purpose.
Yeah.
If we get out of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
We spend too much time seeking what we think our purpose is, and we have multiple purposes,
Right.
and they're not all
Yeah.
big grandiose things.
Oh no, some
But
of
if we
them
get
are
out of
just
the way,
being
it just-
nice to our neighbors. You know.
Your purpose could have been to be nice to a cashier in a grocery store one day who was having a bad day, and just something you said to her made a difference. That might have been one of them. But it's your purpose will find you, and everything will line up exactly the way it should be.
But you do have to seek it. You know, you can't
have to be
hide. You
open
can't
to it.
stay.
You have to
can't just
ask for
hide at
guidance,
home and ask and expect it to come
Oh no, you
to
have to step out into the universe. It's not like you sit home and everything's going to come to you. No, you
can't,
step out and
you
go about
can't
your
sit
life.
up on the mountain anymore and ask for divine guidance.
No,
Because
not at all.
who would you give it to?
But
You know, the point of it is to give it to others.
you have to go about your daily life and place yourself in a position of acceptance for everything, every event that comes into your life. Because every event that comes into your life has a purpose. There's a message in it. There's a lesson, for lack of a better word. There's something in it that you have to experience in that.
Yeah, that was the word you used more than anything, an experience.
Right.
You know,
Because
and,
people say we're here to learn, and we're really not here to learn. I don't really believe we're here to learn anything, because if you believe in your soul and you believe in a higher self, you're all knowing.
Yeah.
We're here to remember who and what we really are, but we get
Yeah.
wrapped up in our daily life. We get wrapped up in going to work, coming home, going to work, getting the kids, doing this, doing that, and that's just what we've created
Yeah.
our lives to be. I mean, it's an important aspect of our life because we're guiding other souls, our children, to here or there, wherever,
Yeah.
or wherever. But it's not the end all. There's more to it.
no, some of us are here to experience simple family life because maybe we've never experienced that before, and being responsible for ourselves and others. What a lot of us are here to experience is how to take care of ourselves,
Yes.
how to love ourselves, how to forgive ourselves, and then reach out to others.
Well, that's the biggest
Because there were
concept
so
in the
many
first
people.
book.
There were so many people that have had lives of servitude, forced servitude of some sort, practically slaves, you know, or women were chattel.
Sure,
They,
sure.
they were considered possessions. They just had to do what they were told to do. And taking care of themselves wasn't one of the things they were told to do.
No, absolutely
So
not.
a lot of
And
people...
we're taught that even now to do for other people,
Oh, yeah.
sacrifice for yourself. But by being a little selfish, and not in the ego sense, but selfish for yourself, where you take care of yourself first, you could be much better for everybody else around you. I mean, it's like a well. It keeps giving up water. Eventually it's going to dry up, and now you're doing
Yeah.
things out of resentment, guilt, whatever.
Yeah, we have to
And
find
that's
that
not what it's
balance
all
in
about.
everything,
Right.
the give and take.
Because the lessons that, and the learnings and experiences that people had in ancient times are different than our times. We're moving fast. There's so many different things.
There's a lot
so
going
many
on right now.
People have so much bombarding them with free will and choices. It's so different from the lack of choice.
That's
the
where
bulk
you
of
have to have
population-
some concept in your existence of what is going to be your rudder, what's going to be your moral compass.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to use religion as a moral compass, that's fine. But if you use religion to guilt, to control, to judge other people, that's not what religion's all about. And this goes beyond religion. I'm not picking a religion over
Right.
another.
Yeah.
Although people say this has a Christian slant to it, I think messages, and the other side is going to communicate to you in a way you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
If I was Jewish, you would have a Jewish slant. I was brought up Catholic. It's going to have more Christian slant. And I had a guy who was 86 years old, a Jewish ex-prosecutor, said, it's like you wrote this book for me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what?
No,
But, you know,
it's much more universal slant. But I have to say, I was raised Jewish. And as I expanded, I don't think I left my religion. I expanded and embraced many more religions. I embraced the truth that I saw in many religions. But when I recognized that there was so much truth in all of the religions, I realized I went beyond where I was. And this book goes beyond religion to spirituality. And the core of spirituality, what the divine expects from us is love, remembering who we are,
And understanding.
and forgiveness.
Well, you're not going to have, unless you can unconditionally forgive, you're never going to be able to unconditionally love.
Yeah.
So those two are one and the same.
Yeah.
And it starts with yourself. Because if you find fault in yourself, every time you wake up in the morning, you find fault in yourself. When you look in the mirror, you're going to find fault with everybody around you. And don't think I go around thinking the whole world, because
No,
I definitely have
none
an
of
issue
us-
with that myself. But
None of us-
we're a work in progress. And like it says, one of the messages says he doesn't expect perfection in results. He
Yeah.
expects perfection in effort.
In trying.
So at least you have the awareness now of when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Do you find your messages like specific to like a kind of people, or just like general for everyone that they can take something away from the messages?
What do you mean, a kind of people? I think it pretty much covers anyone. I mean, I had a 13-year-old kid come to a book signing because he read it and he dragged his mother there. And then I
Okay.
had that older guy, and then I had people who.
So it talks to everybody.
I think it does. I think everybody
Okay.
can find something. But there's a thing. There's an aspect of organized religion that's not answering a lot of questions for people nowadays.
No.
There's a generation of people out there that organized religion doesn't fit into their life, and
Yeah.
that may be good, that may be bad, but they're not going to be told you got to do this, you have to do this, and they're not. And this is where I think they could find some type of.
Yeah. A friend of mine from work, when he asked me about Judaism and a lot of things, he said, I have to ask you a question. I probably shouldn't ask this, but I'm going to anyhow. Without the understandings he had from Christianity, how are you good? How do you stay good when you don't have these other deterrents? And I hadn't thought about that, and I realized afterwards I had an answer. Because being good feels right.
You want to be good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like when you're younger and you're brought up in a particular faith. I mean, you do this or else. You do that or else. You're being guilted into doing something. You're not doing it because genuinely you want to do it. That's why we have free will, and this whole life is about choices. We can make a choice. And there really isn't good or bad in the world. There just is. So the choice you make, it is. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be whatever it perceived to be, but ultimately it serves a purpose.
Good or bad, that's usually a judgment on your own part. You're,
Exactly.
you're evaluating yourself and whatnot, but what's actually happening and how I see things coming about is when you're being good or bad and you're interacting with people, you're getting responses from them. And so how they respond to your actions, to your attitudes, to how you're presenting yourself is a learning process for them as well. Or, as you say, not so much a learning process, but an experience.
And are not the people we interact with mirrors for ourselves
Yeah.
in a lot
Yes.
of cases?
In many cases.
So-
In many cases. I'm taking a class in advanced angel messenger work. And one of the things we're doing is a 40-day journey. And the crux of that journey is to ask yourself the question, what would love do? And what would fear do? To differentiate between the two so that you are walking maybe not the easier path, but so that you're walking the kinder, more loving, divine path that you're meant to walk.
Well, exactly. Because, I mean, most of your decisions that we have made, probably up until this point, or maybe even continue, are based in fear. If I don't do this, this is going to happen. If I don't do that, that's going to happen. We have to look at go beyond our physical existence and look at our spiritual side.
Yeah.
And there is no right or wrong on the spiritual side. There just is, and we have to, embrace that spiritual aspect of ourselves.
Well, you've embraced it because you've put what you've experienced down on paper for the public to read. And that is taking such a challenge compared to me doing this show. I've had to face the fear of what will people think of me doing a spiritual show.
I've been down that road. I still wear a lot of masks, but
But that's taking a major step
and misspoke
following
when
the
I said-
guidance.
Right, but I also misspoke when I said you don't have to do anything.
Right.
Because everybody here we're all here perfect for the experience we came here to have. And we have to look at that other person that might be pushing on buttons, that they're perfect for the experience they had.
And I had read something at one point, and I felt there was truth to it. And there was a person who was a hopeless alcoholic that hung out on the doorstep of a successful attorney. And that successful attorney always gave a little something to that hopeless alcoholic. When he crossed over, he found out that hopeless alcoholic was a good spirit that was there to set an example for him.
So you really don't know everybody's
because
story.
sometimes we learn through contrast, and sometimes we learn through mirroring.
Yep.
We see someone behaving in a way we don't want to behave.
That's
To
where
remind us.
exactly. That's where the judgment and discernment comes in. You can discern whether that person is good to have in your life or not, but we have to try to avoid judging his actions as to whether or not the person's good or bad because of what he's doing. Which that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's tough at times.
I go by if it drains my energy or if it's okay. If I haven't learned how to deal with it well and it drains my energy, I limit my time with people like that.
Right. I mean, you've all been in an experience where you've walked into a room, or you've been in a room, somebody walks in and it's like, do you just brighten the room?
Yeah.
Some people walk in, it's like, ugh.
They just lower the energy, yeah.
And that doesn't make that person a bad person. It's just they're not resonating with you, and that's,
Yeah. So I've learned to limit myself.
Right. I mean,
Set boundaries.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all have a different vibration. We all have a different electrical field.
Yeah.
We all come into contact with each other, feet away from each other. And that's when we sense whether or not we feel infinity to the person or, I just don't have anything to do with this person. It's not that it's personal. It's not that it's a judgment. It's just an awareness on your part that your energies don't mesh. And if you keep that in mind, and therefore, when you run into a situation like that, you don't have to judge that person for, being a negative person, or whatever the case may be in your mind.
Yeah.
It's just, sometimes you just feel an affinity to somebody just by being in their presence, because your energy field is interacting positively. And it doesn't mean that the other person's negative or positive. It's just that that's how your energy field is interacting with that person's energy field.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, there's a person who believes very differently than I do in their religion, and they believe it very strongly. And another person who also believed very strongly. And I felt a strong affinity to the one because spiritually she was very similar. And the other one I don't feel a very strong affinity to because she comes from a lot of fear. And there's a big difference.
Well, sure, of course. That is shutting down the flow of their energy. And therefore, you're picking up on that because you can sense it in their field.
Well,
without judging, you're aware.
We recently laughed. She is ordering some special tapes on how to pray better. We can joke about stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I said, I suppose you'll be praying for me. She said, yes, I will.
That's great. That's great.
I said, well, I'll pray for you too.
I was just going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, that we all find there are many paths to the one,
Right.
the divine.
Yeah.
There's a lot, I always say there's a lot of different ways to drive to Los Angeles. You're straight through, or you could wander around.
meander.
Or, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my life, I've meandered quite a bit.
So, Ken,
So
where do
tell
you
me
see
about
this?
the second book.
I was just going to say, well, I just want to know where do you see this taking you here on in?
I don't know, but I feel obligated to write it out and continue on writing them. The second book, the message, first book's a little basic. The second book gets pretty deep, and the third one, you're getting a little more evolved. The message, where you really, I got to read them over, like, what the heck are they trying to say in this? And but it continues on the same format. I mean, the third book, I really don't know how I'm going to set it up, if I'm going to set it up the same way. I've been waiting for a little clarity on that. But I did get the title for the book, and Life is Simple. That is basically, life is simple. We overcomplicate it. Basically, we have to remain in a place of acceptance for what's going on around us, what's coming into our experience, accept it, be at peace with it, and that's how you find peace.
And sometimes be very pleasantly surprised at the way things work out.
Yeah, if you just trust the process of
Well, I mean,
going
if
through
you
the
look back in
experiences.
your life, you see where all the little stones fell into place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it made
Things
a
get set up
perfect
for you.
Okay.
So, do you find that, like, looking back at the experiences, that they kind of like they were supposed to happen, even though we do have the free will in the process of it?
Oh yeah, but you're when you do look back, you see where everything fell right into place. I mean, just how I met my wife, the whole how that started. I mean, it just and it went from there. And you look back, all this happened to get me to where I am now.
No, you didn't need too many messages about your wife, right? I mean,
No, I need a little prodding there too. I wasn't realizing I was getting messages though. That's my problem. I was definitely a control freak. Yeah.
It's amazing how much we let go, the more we trust, the messages we get and the guidance.
I haven't worked in 2.5 years, sold my business after 25 years, and I was basically told to do it. It's not resonating with me anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story in itself, how that came to be.
Yeah.
And
Well, what I wanted to say was thank you for being
Thank you.
here. And we only have a few minutes. I want to thank our audience for watching us. Thank you for joining us again. And thank you, Bill. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Ken. I did want to say one other thing. A lot of people have read the Conversation with God series. And they might say, oh, this is just another book about messages from God. It's not. It's well worth reading. It's a lot. It's more instructional.
Yeah, I'm not claiming to have I really don't know who's coming through in some of these messages, many of them.
Yeah.
Some of it's God, some of it's, I don't know who these guys are. And I would love to know, but me trying to figure it out is interrupting the flow.
Yeah.
So I just got to just let
some
it
of it is definitely coming from the divine.
Yeah.
It's
Now, how do people get a hold of you if they want to purchase one of your books?
Oh, yeah.
They're available online through Amazon, through Barnes & Noble, through the publisher Balboa.
And the last name is